Grading NFL off seasons, going by division. Today we're going to be doing the NFC South. Caught myself. NFC South. We've done all the divisions except the NFC South, which we're doing right now, and the NFC West. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the West. If you haven't seen the other ones, go check them out. And while I'm just doing some shameless plugs here, I do fantasy football content. So check out my page, Zealous Fantasy, if you want to win your fantasy football league in 2026. But let's not waste any more time. Let's head right in to the NFC South and let's talk straight with the Atlanta Falcons, I believe it is. The Atlanta Falcons are first. All right, so let me move this over here. As you know, I try to make this as authentic as possible. That's why there's no cuts. Anyway, and I also try to make it as authentic as possible, as in I don't go into these with grades in mind already. Sometimes while I'm talking out loud rather than just having thoughts in my head, some new thoughts and emotions pop up, and it changes my grades a little bit. So I try not to... I have a range that I know I'm going for, but I don't have an exact grade. So let's get right into it with the Atlanta Falcons. Like always, we're going to start with the coaches. So they bring in Kevin Stefanski to be their new head coach after firing Raheem Morris and getting rid of Zach Robinson as well. I think no matter what, Zach Robinson was gone, and of course they end up firing Raheem Morris as well. That's a W. I watch this team very closely. If you don't know about me, my guilty pleasure in the NFL is Kirk Cousins. I love Kirk Cousins. I can admit that he's not the best quarterback ever. I mean, he's barely even a starter at this point, and there's a good chance by week 4 he's not a starter in the league. But point is, I really love Kirk Cousins. I just think he's a goofy dude. He's hard not to love, and I'm a Viking fan, and he was the Viking quarterback for a long time. So he's a guy that I followed very closely even after he left Minnesota. So I watched Atlanta a lot. And let me tell you, Raheem Morris was not a good coach. Zach Robinson was a bad offensive coordinator. So both of them gone. You bring in Kevin Stefanski. That is a huge W in my opinion. I really like Kevin Stefanski. I guess maybe you call that Viking bias because he was a coordinator in Minnesota, but I just thought he did a lot of good with the Cleveland Browns. You look at Cleveland before he had him and then after he had him, he did a lot of good. He did good with very little talent as well. I just thought Stefanski overperformed in Cleveland time and time again. I wouldn't have got rid of him if I was Cleveland. That's something I mentioned when I did the Cleveland Browns offseason grade. So for Atlanta to get a guy like that, I think that's a huge win and a huge upgrade for them over Raheem Morris. After that, though, I don't want to say there's not a lot of good, but there's not just a lot to talk about. So we'll start with the losses, I guess, first. You let Arnold Ebiketie walk. I'm pausing here because there's not a lot to talk about. It's a lot of depth pieces. It's a lot of, and this is for losses and additions. It's a lot of just bring in your own guys, bring in your own depth that you like, that you think will fit your system, and letting the other guys walk. Kirk Cousins, obviously, you cut, like, I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but you do cut Kirk Cousins. You trade Rook. D. Alford's gone. Just a lot of just names that the typical NFL fan doesn't know these people. And that's fine. Obviously, they still contribute a lot to the NFL and to these NFL teams, but as far as making a video goes, it's just not a lot of people know who these guys are. Now, let's talk about it in the sense of how much I think it's going to hurt and help. It's honestly probably a wash. You get Jahan Dotson. What they got Zacchaeus, and didn't they get another receiver? Or am I tripping? Okay, just the 2 receivers. Sorry, I'm kind of far away. It's kind of hard to read. I already have bad vision. But anyway, so you just get the 2 receivers. I don't love that. Obviously, you let go Darnell Mooney, which I don't know, I mentioned that earlier, but you do let go of Darnell Mooney, who was really good his first year and really bad last year. He had a drop problem. He was better with Kirk than he was with the Michael Penix Jr. I was going to say the other guys, but Tua isn't there yet. Jumping ahead here. You signed Tua Tagovailoa for the league minimum, which is a huge win in my opinion, similar to the Minnesota offseason grade that we talked about. Getting a guy like that, no matter how you slice it, he's either an NFL starter or he is one of the best backups in the league. So having that for $1.3 million is just a huge deal. And honestly, I think he's going to be their starter. I think he's a better quarterback than Michael Penix Jr. So I think you got your starting quarterback, especially in a Kevin Stefanski offense. I think you got your starting quarterback for the league minimum. That's a huge win. Juwan Taylor, when he's not committing penalties, is a fine tackle, but he does commit a lot of penalties. We'll hop over to the extensions, which actually, as of today, I haven't updated it yet because it happened today, but as of today, actually is an extension and not a franchise tag. Kyle Pitts signs a 3-year, I think it was $54 million extension, it was $18 million a year. So if I would have filmed this video one day sooner, then they wouldn't be getting docked for this like they're about to. But my goodness, why are we paying Kyle Pitts $18 million a year? That's bananas to me. I cannot believe a guy that underachieves as much as Kyle Pitts is getting that type of money. And you might look at it and say, he's average among tight ends. It's not as bad as it seems if you're like a fantasy guy or something. And that's true, but average tight ends don't get $18 million a year. He also is going to have to be their number 2 wide receiver this year. Like, it's just, I don't think it's going to be Zacchaeus or Jahan Dotson. So it's going to have to be Kyle Pitts. It might be Bijan Robinson, to be totally honest with you. And Kevin Stefanski does have a good track record with tight ends, so maybe he's able to whip Kyle Pitts up into shape. I don't know if that was the right choice of words, but maybe there's something there. Maybe Kevin Stefanski can make that a right decision. But right here, right now, I don't think that is a right decision. So him getting $18 million a year for 3 years is quite a bit. I'm sure it's more like a 2-year. I'm sure they can very easily get out of it after year 3. I haven't looked at the details on it yet. So still, though, it's just not that good of a deal to me. Also, draft-wise, you didn't have a first-round pick because you traded it away for James Pierce, who is domestically beating people. But I think he's back at practice because NFL does not care. You obviously get a solid corner, a brother, in multiple ways in round 2. I got to stop talking. I might move on because this is getting crazy. Excuse me. Anyway, so yeah, I think they bring in a lot of good depth. None of these guys I am hurt by them losing. Like, I like Ebiketie, but again, I'm not that hurt by them losing them. You bring in your own guys, your own depth. I think they're slightly worse, to be honest with you, but probably fit the system better. There's just not a lot to talk about here. The most important decision was firing Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson and bringing Kevin Stefanski, which you nailed. Nothing else is really worth talking about except maybe the Kyle Pitts, which is more of a negative. I'm going to give him C+. I'm tempted to go higher because of the head coach, and maybe I should go closer to like a B- because I think I will B- because I think you nailed the head coach, and that is very important for the future of the franchise. I just don't know if anything else they did is important for the future of the franchise. You can maybe argue Tua, because maybe he balls out this year and he's your starter going forward. So maybe it should be closer to a B. I'm not going up that high. I already moved up once, but I'm going to stick with a B-, but I do think that's fair. Again, for as far as the future goes, you really help out that team, by the franchise, by bringing in Kevin Stefanski. You also brought in Matt Ryan, which I think is just fire. I love it when teams give their old players significant roles in the franchise. As long as it works out. Obviously, that doesn't work out a lot, but Matt Ryan seems like a guy where he will make it work. Yeah, so that's all we got for Atlanta Falcons. Let's move on to the Carolina Panthers. This is a really tricky one. I'm going to be flat out honest with you. So last year, Carolina was my team that I was making videos about on TikTok and in all the short form videos that I make. And I didn't make YouTube videos back then. So if you want to find me on short form, like TikTok, shorts, reels, whatever, I'm on all of them. Anyway, Carolina was the team that I said they're going to make the playoffs. I think I said they're going to win. No, I don't know if I said they're going to win the division. I might have said Tampa and them as a wild card. Either way, I said they're going to make the playoffs and be the surprise team of last year. Bam, it happened. Is it possible for me to then turn around and say they had a really good offseason, but I don't think they're going to do it again? I don't know. I don't know if it happened as cleanly and as the way I wanted it to happen, to be honest with you. We're kind of getting off topic here a little bit, but still, I don't know if I believe in this Carolina Panthers team the way that I did last year, even though they did the thing that I predicted them to do. Kind of confusing, but still. Now let's talk about this good offseason that I just mentioned. So, Dave Canales is still your head coach. Fire, like keeping everybody. You bring in Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd. Two massive signings to this defense. This defense was already league average. Now you're hoping those two guys is going to push this team above league average, and I think you have a good chance for it. This was a team that was 28th in sacks last year. Their D-line was just kind of a mess. Well, now bring in a guy like Jalen Phillips, assuming health, is a very big plus. Your run stopping wasn't great. They allowed the 20th, not the 20th most. They were 20th in the league in rushing yards allowed per game. Devin Lloyd is going to be very big for that. I even like the Rasheed Walker signing from the Green Bay Packers. I think he is a guy who has shown some struggles, but also shown some high points. And bring him in for, what was it, a $4 million? That's a risk I'm willing to take over and over and over again, especially for a team whose offensive line has been up and down recently. A couple years ago it was awesome. This year, last year I should say, it was kind of a mess. So I think Rasheed Walker is a great guy for that price tag to take a chance on. I do hate losing Cade Mays, though. I think Cade Mays was actually an underrated center. I thought the Lions got a really good bargain getting Cade Mays. That's probably their one loss that I'm like, dang, like I wish they wouldn't have done that. Rico Dowdle's gone, which I don't have a problem with, because even though he led their team in rushing at certain points of the season, I don't have a problem with it because I actually think if Jonathan Brooks stays healthy, that he is going to be the number one back on this team. Think about it like this. Jonathan Brooks is a guy who at Texas in college tore his ACL and still was the number one running back drafted that year. He was an early second round pick with a torn ACL. You know how hard that is, like for teams to overlook that? Of course, he comes back, he tears it again. It really sucks. But if you look at him in practice, the dude is flying around the field. I actually really believe that Jonathan Brooks is going to be able to take a step forward. Has nothing to do with the offseason, but it's just why I don't mind them losing a Rico Dowdle. Other than that, there's not much to talk about. They lose backup quarterback Andy Dalton and bring in Kenny Pickett, practically the same dude. Not worried about that. You bring in, I want to talk about their first two draft picks, another offensive tackle and Monroe Freeling. Really like that pick. Again, I think the offensive line needed work. I like the chance on Rasheed Walker, and Monroe Freeling I think is a very good offensive lineman that you can plug in relatively soon. I'm not sure if he's a day one starter, but I think he can start over the course of the season. And Lee Hunter from Texas Tech was one of the guys I like more and more as I watched more of them. I am a Tech fan, admittedly, and I liked him in college. And then when I was doing my film prep for the draft, I actually liked him even more. I believe when I did my mock draft, I moved, so I wasn't able to do multiple. I did one single mock draft like a month and a half before the draft, but I believe I mocked him as like a first rounder. I really like Lee Hunter, so to get him mid-second round, I feel like is a bargain for the Carolina Panthers. So, all that being said, I thought they had a really good offseason, which is why I brought up at the beginning of this is interesting that like I don't believe in them the way I should after they did exactly what I predicted they would do. I don't know. Like they then followed that up by doing exactly what you should do in the offseason when you make the strides that they did. There's just something about it. I just feel weird about it. Yeah, I don't know what it is. As far as this offseason goes, my weird vibes doesn't contain here. As far as this offseason goes, I'm going to give them a B. They made the playoffs, so now you have to make drastic improvement. Not drastic, but now you have to make improvements. You made the playoffs. You can't sit on your morals, whatever, and not do anything. You have to keep moving. You have to keep getting better. And they went out and got two big name defensive players. An issue that I have, and I guess this is part of it, is offensively is where they were ranked poorly, 27th in yards per game, 27th in points per game, and you really didn't do anything on the offensive side of the ball. My only hope is, I guess, that you are hoping that your offensive line is better and then you can run the ball better and that opens up the pass. But other than that, like I really wish they would have done one more thing, maybe get one more weapon or just something else on offense. regardless, if this offensive line is better, I do think that changes everything for this team. And my weird feelings I have about them completely go away if this offensive line goes back to being a really good O-line. Again, and I think they took steps into that. So, yeah, we're going to go with a B. I like a lot of what they did. I could be convinced to a B plus, to be honest with you, but I'm going to stick with a B right now. They did everything they're supposed to do, minus maybe get one more weapon. We'll have to see how that plays out for them. Oh, another thing before I go on to the Saints. They also re-signed Jalen Coker to a team-friendly deal at the Wazoo. I cannot believe Jalen Coker's agent agreed to that deal. It felt like Coker might have a breakout season this year. It felt like his best chance to have a breakout season, and he agreed to that deal. Kind of crazy in my opinion. That was another W by the Carolina Panthers. So now let's get on to the New Orleans Saints. All right. Don't have a bunch of cap space. You're still dealing with the Drew Brees situation of just pushing crap into the next year, into the next year, into the next year. I can actually take Cam Jordan off this losses list because I believe he just signed. So, good on them. Can I just do that? No, I cannot. All right. I'll fix that later. So, Cam Jordan's back. Yeah, but you're still dealing with this cap space situation that started with when Drew Brees was on the team, and your push money to in the future so you can win the Super Bowl, and you just kept doing it even after Drew Brees left. So in a way, you're still dealing with it from when Drew Brees was there. Finally, they started doing stuff to make it better and better and better. I believe next year they're finally going to actually have money. It was either next year or the year after. They're finally going to have money for the first time in forever. So that's a huge win for the Carolina Panthers. I'm still stuck on the last team. Huge win for the New Orleans Saints. So they bring in David Edwards, offensive lineman from the Buffalo Bills, which I think is a very big W for them. They bring in Travis Etienne Jr., which I think is a big W for them. Caden Ellis is a fine linebacker. Again, I watched a lot of the Atlanta Falcons football. He has a few wild plays a game, I think. He has very quick closing speed. So Caden Ellis, solid signing, especially after losing Demario Davis to the Jets. That's a big blow for a veteran linebacker to be gone, but that's really your only major loss. Alontae Taylor is also a solid loss. Like I don't want to downplay that. Alontae Taylor is definitely a loss as well. But as far as that goes, that's really all there is to talk about. Tyree Wilson, you traded for practically nothing coming out of college. I mean, he was a first-round pick. There's a lot of potential there. Maybe the Saints can actually get it out of him. We didn't start with the coaches, even though I say we always start with the coaches. We didn't. But thankfully, nothing happened. Kellen Moore is still the head coach of the team, which I believe is a really good head coach. And I think he proves it this year. Kind of part of my doubt for Carolina next year, to be completely transparent, is because I actually really like the New Orleans Saints this year. This will be more of videos that I talk about down the line when we're talking. I believe I have I have a worst to first video coming probably next week or the week after. And when I'm doing predictions down the line, we'll really get into stuff like this. But yeah, I really like the Saints this year. This offseason honestly it's honestly more of what they built off of. This offseason, I think, adds to it for sure. I think they had a good offseason, but it's definitely more to do with what they were building off of last season with Tyler Shuck. But before we go and move on, I want to talk about first-round pick Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson was my personal number one wide receiver off the board. Now, if I was the Titans, I would have still drafted Cardinal Tate because of the injury risks that exist for Jordan Tyson. But talent for talent, Jordan Tyson was by far my number one. He just watch him. If you don't know who he is, you don't have to watch film on him. If you don't know who he is, literally type in Jordan Tyson highlights, and you're going to be wowed and amazed. He is such a good receiver. He is an NFL receiver. He creates separation, which is huge. Everything I love in a receiver is Jordan Tyson minus like the injury. So yeah, I'm very, very high on Jordan Tyson. So I think you did good with the coaching by not doing anything. Brought in an O-lineman, even with your constricted cap situation. You bringing in some pieces. You didn't lose too much. Alontae Taylor leaving sucks more to me than Demario Davis leaving because Davis is older anyway. I'm expecting him to not be as good this year as he was last year. So yeah, I think this was a very good offseason for the New Orleans Saints. And Do I think it's as good as Carolina? Probably not. I gave Carolina a B. Is that what I did? I already forgot. I think I gave them a B. I guess I'd have to give the Saints a B minus. Maybe I retroactively do give them the B plus that I teased and give the Saints a B. That feels better to me, honestly. Maybe that's what I do. Screw it. That's what I do. Um, but yeah, I think they did good. I think they did solid, especially building off of last year, getting one of my favorite picks in the entire draft, uh, getting pieces and spots of need. Everything about it is very solid and very good. Maybe it should be a B minus. It's going to be a B minus. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. B for the Panthers, B minus for the Saints, but very good, especially building off of what they did last year. I really like what the Saints did. So, with that said, it's time to get into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. So, they get rid of their offensive coordinator and they bring in Zach Robinson, starting with the coaches first. Also, by the way, I learned while doing this spreadsheet, which, by the way, if you want the spreadsheet link in the description, it's just all the offseason moves that happened. There's no need to have it. You can look it up yourself, but I just like it all in the same place, so here it is. I say that every time, but I don't know. Maybe some people want it. I don't know. I don't even know how to look to see if people have looked at it before, but I'm just not smart, so that's why. Anyway, I was just talking about how Zach Robinson isn't a good offensive coordinator, so that really sucks for this team. It doesn't really suck for the players. Some players put up big numbers with Zach Robinson as their offensive coordinator, so if we're talking like fantasy football, I'm not as worried. But as far as just winning games, key third downs, I feel like the play calls were never that good. Yeah, as far as that goes, I'm not a big fan of Zach Taylor. Interesting fact, again, while I was making the spreadsheet, I don't think I got this out, was that Todd Bowles is his own DC. They don't have a DC. It's just Todd Bowles. I knew he called plays, but they don't even have a guy with a title, defensive coordinator. Thought it was interesting. Anyway, so talking about that defense, Sean Robinson, you bring him in. Alex Anzalone, you bring him from the Lions, which is a solid linebacker. Kenny Gainwell from the Steelers, who actually led them in receiving last year, is a signing that I think needs more attention than it gets. And honestly, I'll spend a couple seconds on it. It's more of a fantasy football thing, to be totally honest with you. But Bucky Irving has had some injury problems. Last year was a big dip compared to what it was the year before. They signed Kenny Gainwell to a 2-year, $14 million deal. $7 million a year is quite a bit for a backup running back. And I believe it was like 10 or 12 of that $14 million is guaranteed. So, no, not 10 or 12. It's like 9 to 11, somewhere in there. So, there's a good chance you're going to be seeing a lot of Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Galladay. Golly, my mind is stuck in the past. But yeah, so some good signings for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You were obviously very cap constricted, so that's really all there is to talk about. You lose Mike Evans, you lose Jamal Dean, you lose some really good depth pieces. This dude got cut by the Bucks and signed with the Bucks. Yeah, I think I have the wrong team here. I'm gonna have to fix that as well. I'm not gonna do that right now because it is not wanting to cooperate. Anyway, so yeah, you lose a lot more than you gain, in my opinion. You do gain some good players, but you lose a lot more than you gain. The one thing that I think really helps them is having Ruben Bain drop all the way to pick 15 and somehow get to them. That is absolutely insane to me. This defense, a lot of injuries to be fair, but this defense really underperformed last year. Honestly, this team did. This offense, this defense, neither really performed up to par last year. So that's why they went so heavy on defense. You see all the guys that they brought in, and then you also get first round pick Ruben Bain. Your second round pick was a linebacker. There's a lot of focus on the defense side of the ball, which makes sense because Todd Bowles is your head coach, but also because I think you have the talent on offense already. It just needs to click better. Baker got hurt, and when that happened, the offense completely fell off. Emeka Egbuka got hurt, and when that happened, he completely fell off. You're going to go in Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, Jalen McMillan, I think is a very underrated receiver. Bucky Irving, like I said, Kenny Gainwell. I think you have this potential for this offense to just improve based off health. Again, I think you're getting a not great coordinator in Zach Robinson, but you already didn't have a great coordinator since Liam Cohen. So, maybe that's not the end of the world. I'm not sure they downgraded by any means. And maybe I was too harsh about the Zach Robinson thing because I don't think they downgraded. They probably even slightly upgraded. So maybe that's a bit harsh of what I was saying. So that being said, I still don't love the move, but it's probably not as bad as I was making it out to be. There's a lot of nothing done, to be honest. You lose a lot of big names. You bring in good players for good contracts that will, I don't know, you hope fit the scheme better, you hope fits this team better, but only time will tell if that's true. I feel like this NFC South video is going by quick. We're at 25 minutes, and it's because there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. But that's really where we're at. We're already kind of done with the Bucks. Final grade I'm going to give them is a C plus. C plus. C. We're going C. I love the draft pick of Ruben Bain, but he just kind of fell to them. I can't hold that against them though, but he did. You lose a lot. You didn't gain as much. I really like the depth pieces they signed. Sean Robinson's actually really good. Alex Anzalone is a solid linebacker. Like, we're gonna stick with a C though, because can that really move the needle for me when we're talking about like a Mike Evans and a Jamal Dean, Logan Hall? We're gonna go C. C. Final answer. C. Maybe I should have grades before I start these videos so I can't avoid 30 seconds of babbling about what grade I should give it. Like I said, try to go for authenticity. That's what I did. But then you also get the babbling that comes with it. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment if you think I got all these grades wrong, what you think the grades should be, all that good stuff. Again, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, which is going to be the NFC West. And then after that, it's going to be much more focused on specific topics, on specific teams, which are videos that I like way more on this channel. I like to just get into something and go. That's why, honestly, my fantasy videos I feel like are better right now. I'm just being honest. I'm not even trying to plug it. I feel like my fantasy videos currently are better because they're much more focused and they're much more information about one thing rather than just a bunch of information at a time. Kind of feels like information overload here. I just also kind of like these videos, but they're different, and I do enjoy the other types of videos more, and we'll be getting a lot of that over the next month and a half up until the NFL season starts. And then I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be doing, to be honest with you. I'll probably have we'll call it like a podcast. It's going to be this though, so I don't know if that's really a podcast, but it's going to be 30 minutes of just talking about what happened in the NFL on Mondays, or I'll probably film it on Mondays, but it probably won't be posted till Tuesdays. And then on Fridays, posted Fridays, I'll be talking about the next games. I'll probably give money lines, bets, not betting advice, not saying you should or shouldn't do anything, just what I like this or that week. And it's probably what I'm looking at. So that is what I think we're going to go do going forward after this little mini series ends next week. Yeah, so like I said, if you don't want to miss any of that, leave a like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time.